The room is quiet. Not because nothing is happening, but because something is already moving toward you without making a sound. Before this moment ends, I want you to make one promise to yourself. Don't skip ahead. Don't assume you already know where this story is going. Because the final revelation isn't the one you think it is. The title told you that your billionaire soulmate is younger than you. That their city and age will be revealed. But the truth behind those words is much deeper than a simple number on a screen. Tonight, imagine opening a mysterious envelope with no return address. Inside is a handwritten note. It says, "I've been searching for you long before we ever met. Every success I've achieved has felt incomplete because someone was missing from the picture. One day our paths will cross, and when they do, everything you've questioned about your future will suddenly make sense." You stare at the page. There's no signature. No date. Only one strange symbol in the corner. A golden compass. At first it seems meaningless. But then you realize. A compass never tells you where you are. It tells you where you're meant to go. And that's exactly what this story is about. Not certainty, but direction. Think about every unexpected turn your life has taken. The job you almost accepted but didn't. The trip you nearly canceled. The stranger you almost spoke to. Sometimes the biggest moments begin with the smallest decisions. Now imagine someone else. Someone you've never met. Making choices on the other side of the world. Working late. Building a business. Learning difficult lessons. Wondering why success still feels empty. Neither of you knows the other's name. Yet your stories keep moving closer together. Like two rivers flowing toward the same ocean. What if timing, not distance, has always been the real obstacle? Maybe the greatest love story isn't about finding someone. Maybe it's about becoming the person who is finally ready to meet them. Now picture a city skyline glowing just after sunset. Glass towers reflecting orange light. Busy streets below. Thousands of windows. Millions of dreams. Somewhere inside that city, someone is looking out at the lights. Thinking there has to be more than money. More than awards. More than luxury. Because achievement without connection can still feel lonely. That person doesn't know your name. But in this story, their journey and yours are slowly beginning to overlap. Here's the surprising part. People often imagine extraordinary relationships beginning with extraordinary events. But they usually begin with ordinary moments. A delayed flight. A coffee shop. A business meeting. A family gathering. A random message. An unexpected invitation. One simple decision changes everything. So instead of asking, "When will it happen?" ask yourself, "If the moment arrived tomorrow, would I even recognize it?" Many people wait for life to transform before believing. The wiser path is believing enough to prepare for transformation. Preparation changes perception. Perception changes action. Action changes outcomes. And outcomes create stories people call destiny. Now imagine the mysterious letter continues. I am younger than you. That has never frightened me. Because maturity isn't counted by birthdays. It's measured by character. By kindness. By resilience. By the ability to remain hopeful after disappointment. Those words stop you. Because they challenge an assumption. Age may shape experience. But it doesn't define wisdom. The letter continues. I built companies. I built wealth. I built influence. Yet every victory felt temporary because there was no one to celebrate with. Notice something remarkable. The greatest treasures lose their brilliance when there's no one to share them with. That's why this isn't really a story about billions. It's a story about connection. About purpose. About discovering that success reaches its highest meaning when shared. Now close your eyes for just a second. Imagine walking through a beautiful city you've never visited before. You don't know the streets. You don't know the language of the signs. Yet somehow, everything feels strangely familiar. As though you've arrived somewhere you were always meant to see. Every meaningful journey begins that way. Not with certainty, but with curiosity. Curiosity becomes courage. Courage becomes movement. Movement becomes a new chapter. And that chapter changes everything. So if someone asked what city this mysterious soulmate lives in, the answer wouldn't simply be the name of a place. It would symbolize opportunity, growth, discovery. Because every great city represents thousands of untold stories waiting to intersect. And maybe, just maybe, the most important detail isn't where someone lives today. It's whether both of you continue moving toward the future with hope instead of fear. Imagine the letter reaches its final page. It says, when we finally meet, I won't ask where you've been. I'll ask what you've learned. Because every challenge you've survived has quietly been preparing you for the life still ahead. You fold the paper. Look once more at the golden compass. Then you realize something extraordinary. Perhaps the greatest revelation was never hidden inside the envelope. Perhaps it was the realization that every single day offers another chance to become the person your future is waiting to meet. And maybe that's where every unforgettable story truly begins. The strange thing about destiny is that it rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock loudly. It doesn't send fireworks across the sky. Instead, it whispers through moments most people ignore. Imagine that the mysterious letter wasn't finished. As you unfold another page, you notice something unusual. The handwriting has changed. The words now feel more personal. They keep calling me lucky. They think becoming wealthy happened overnight. They only see the towers I've built. They never saw the nights I almost gave up. For a moment, you stop reading. Because those words don't sound like someone showing off. They sound like someone remembering. The letter continues. I know people imagine billionaires never feel afraid. But fear sat beside me every single day. Fear of failing. Fear of disappointing everyone who believed in me. Fear that success would cost me the one thing money could never buy. A genuine connection. Now think about that. What if the person you've imagined as completely confident actually spent years wondering if anyone would ever love them for who they are instead of what they own? That question changes everything. Because behind every impressive title, there is still a human heart. And every heart longs to be understood. The next sentence catches your attention immediately. I've traveled across countless cities. I've stayed in penthouses overlooking skylines that most people only see in movies. I've attended private events where every face was famous. Yet somehow, the seat beside me always felt empty. Can you picture it? A luxurious dining table. Crystal glasses. Soft music playing in the background. Every detail perfect. Yet one chair remains unoccupied. Sometimes, the most expensive room in the world can still feel lonely. The letter pauses there, almost as if inviting you to imagine that empty chair. Who was it waiting for? Was it waiting for someone who already existed in their life? Or was it waiting for someone they hadn't met yet? The next paragraph reveals another layer. When I was younger, everyone told me to chase success first. Love could wait. Relationships could wait. Life could wait. I believed them. Years passed before I realized. Time waits for no one. Those words echo in your mind. How many people postpone happiness? How many keep saying, one more promotion, one more achievement, one more milestone, only to discover that fulfillment isn't hiding behind the next accomplishment. It's found in the people who walk beside you while you're building your dreams. Then something unexpected appears. I've seen your smile before. You blink. How could that be? The letter explains. Not in person. Not in a photograph. But in a dream so vivid that I remembered it after waking up. Dreams, whether symbolic or simply reflections of hope, have inspired humanity for centuries. Sometimes they reveal our deepest desires. Sometimes they remind us not to lose faith in tomorrow. The writer continues. In that dream, you weren't wearing expensive clothes. You weren't standing beside luxury cars. You weren't impressed by my success. You simply looked at me and smiled as though none of those things mattered. That smile became unforgettable. Not because it was perfect, but because it felt genuine. The letter becomes quieter, almost like someone speaking directly from the heart. I've met people who admired my wealth. People who admired my influence. People who admired my lifestyle. Very few ever tried to understand my soul. Read that again. Understanding is rarer than admiration. Anyone can admire success from a distance. Very few remain present during uncertainty. And perhaps that's why meaningful relationships feel priceless. Because they cannot be purchased. Only earned. The page turns again. A small map appears. No labels. No countries. Only one shining path leading toward a bright horizon. Below it are the words. We've both been walking toward this point without realizing it. Imagine two travelers, each carrying invisible lessons. One learns patience. The other learns courage. One discovers resilience. The other discovers compassion. Neither knows why life keeps testing them. Until one day, their paths finally intersect. And suddenly, every previous chapter begins making sense. The writer shares another memory. There was one evening when I stood alone on the rooftop of my tallest building. The city stretched endlessly below me. Millions of lights. Millions of stories. Yet I silently whispered, I hope you're out there. I didn't know your name. I didn't know your face. But somehow, I believed our story hadn't begun yet. Take a moment to imagine that scene. Not because it's about wealth, but because it's about hope. Hope that refuses to disappear even after countless disappointments. Hope that believes tomorrow can still surprise you. Hope that reminds us the next chapter hasn't been written yet. The letter now shifts direction. If we ever meet, don't ask me how much I'm worth. Ask me what kept me going when nobody believed in me. Ask me what failure taught me. Ask me what success couldn't. Those questions reveal character. Because achievements tell you what someone accomplished. But struggles reveal who they became. Then comes another unforgettable sentence. I may be younger than you, but every obstacle forced me to grow faster than I expected. Pain became my teacher. Responsibility became my companion. Purpose became my direction. Age, experience, success, failure. All of them shape us differently. No two journeys are ever identical. And perhaps that's exactly why every meaningful meeting feels unique. The final lines on this page are written larger than the rest. Almost impossible to ignore. When the moment finally arrives, you won't recognize me because of my wealth. You'll recognize me because meeting me will feel strangely familiar. As though two unfinished stories have finally found the same ending. You slowly close the letter again. Outside the window, the world continues moving exactly as it always has. Cars pass by. People hurry toward tomorrow. Cities shine beneath the evening sky. Yet something inside you feels different. Not because the future has been revealed, but because you've begun seeing every ordinary moment as a possible beginning. And sometimes, a beginning is the greatest miracle of all. There is one final page inside the envelope. At first, you almost miss it. It is folded differently from all the others, sealed with a small golden wax stamp. Unlike the previous pages, this one contains only a single sentence. If you're reading this, our paths are already closer than either of us realizes. Your heartbeat slows. Not because you believe you've uncovered a secret, but because those words carry an unusual feeling. You carefully unfold the page. The handwriting is calmer now, as if the writer is no longer trying to convince you of anything. Instead, they simply begin telling their story. I wasn't born into wealth. The world only sees the ending. Almost nobody asks about the beginning. There were days when I counted every coin in my pocket before buying food. There were nights when I slept only 3 hours because I believed my dream deserved the remaining 21. Everyone celebrates the mansion. Very few remember the tiny apartment where everything started. For a moment, you stop reading. Because success always looks simple from a distance. But every remarkable achievement is usually built upon thousands of invisible sacrifices. The letter continues. I've been rejected more times than I've been accepted. I've watched people laugh at my ideas. I've heard people say I would never become anything. And strangely enough, I'm grateful for every one of those moments. Why? Because criticism became fuel. Failure became a classroom. Loneliness became discipline. The next paragraph feels deeply personal. One evening, I stood alone outside my office. It wasn't a skyscraper. It wasn't even impressive. It was just one rented room. I looked up at the sky and quietly made a promise. If success ever finds me, I will never allow money to change the way I treat people. That promise, more than any business strategy, changed everything. Because character attracts opportunities that talent alone cannot. Then something unexpected appears. I've always believed that somewhere there is someone whose presence will matter more than every achievement I've ever celebrated. I don't know their favorite song. I don't know what makes them laugh. I don't know what city they're living in today. But I know one thing. When we finally meet, home will stop feeling like a location. It will become a person. Those words linger in your mind. Think about that for a second. How many people spend years searching for a place where they belong, without realizing that sometimes belonging begins with a single relationship? The page continues. There was a day when I received the biggest financial offer of my career. Everyone expected me to celebrate. I smiled. I signed the documents. But later that evening, I sat alone by a window. The city below was glowing. Luxury cars filled the streets. Helicopters crossed the skyline. And suddenly I realized something. Dreams don't become smaller after success. They simply change. Once, I dreamed of becoming wealthy. Now, I dream of sharing life with someone who values kindness more than numbers. The words become softer. I've met extraordinary people. Celebrities. Business leaders. Investors. Royal families. But the conversations I remember most were with ordinary people who carried extraordinary hearts. That sentence feels powerful. Because life has a strange way of reminding us. Titles impress the eyes. Character impresses the soul. The writer suddenly changes the subject. I've visited countless cities. I've watched sunrise from mountain resorts. I've watched sunset from oceanside villas. I've crossed continents in private jets. But one destination still remains unknown. The place where I'll meet you. You look up from the page. Could destiny really work that way? Not as a perfectly planned event, but as two independent journeys eventually crossing at the right time? The letter offers no proof, only possibility. And sometimes, possibility is enough to keep hope alive. The writer continues. I often wonder what you're doing right now. Maybe you're working. Maybe you're studying. Maybe you're helping someone without expecting anything in return. Maybe you're quietly rebuilding your life after a difficult chapter. If that's true, please don't lose hope. Because some chapters only make sense after the ending has been written. A breeze moves through the room. The paper trembles slightly. You continue reading. I've learned something about timing. The world calls delays unfortunate. But sometimes, a delay is protection. If we had met years ago, neither of us would have been ready. I needed to become wiser. You needed to become stronger. So life kept teaching both of us separately. Not to keep us apart forever, but to prepare us for meeting at the right moment. That thought changes everything. Preparation often looks like waiting. Growth often feels like delay. Yet both are quietly shaping tomorrow. The writer shares another memory. I still remember buying my first expensive watch. I thought owning it would make me feel complete. It didn't. Then I bought my dream house. The excitement lasted a while. But eventually, silence returned. It was then I realized. Objects can decorate a home. Only people can fill it with life. You slowly nod. Some truths don't need to be explained. They simply need to be experienced. The final section begins. The handwriting is larger now. Almost as if every word matters. If you're wondering whether I still believe we'll meet, my answer is yes. Not because life guarantees anything, but because hope gives every new day a reason to begin. So wherever you are, keep becoming the best version of yourself. Keep choosing kindness. Keep choosing courage. Keep choosing integrity. Because when our paths finally cross, I don't want us to meet as strangers searching for meaning. I want us to meet as two people who found meaning long before they found each other. The letter ends with one final message. No matter how beautiful tomorrow becomes, never forget this truth. The greatest treasure isn't found inside a bank. It isn't hidden inside a mansion. It isn't parked inside a luxury garage. It is found in the person who makes every ordinary day feel extraordinary. You slowly fold the page. The golden compass on the envelope catches the light one last time. For the first time, you understand why it was there from the beginning. A compass doesn't promise an easy journey. It simply reminds you to keep moving toward what truly matters. And perhaps, somewhere beyond today's horizon, another journey is moving toward yours at exactly the same pace. Neither rushing, neither delayed. Simply waiting. For the moment when two completely different stories become one unforgettable chapter.